Oh, is that one? Yeah, there's one. Yeah. So I do see them with this light glowing in my face. Whoa, another one. Whoa, that one's moving fast. Look at him. Oh, I can't even follow him. Oh, there's one. What the hell? They just change the direction and stuff. Beeping and glowing. Wow. Whoa, another one. Telling you, the skies are just loaded. Everybody, I highly recommend you getting some of that night vision. And just go look up at the sky. There's no way these are all satellites. Yeah. Yeah. One continuous cut. Most of them earlier they were all heading like south. Oh, no. They were all kind of heading south. In one straight line. These ones are weaving and bobbing all over the place. They're just crazy. Crazy stuff. Back it out there. They're so small. When they get towards the light, the city light normally messes up me being able to see these. Oh, and another one. Now, come on now, you know you can't all be damn satellites, right? Oh, and another one. Now, if I saw a bat in this, it'd be black, okay, because bats are black, and I'd like, dots of light. Anybody else? Who else?
Norio Hayakawa. Thank you very much. My name is Norio Hayakawa, and I'm a resident of Torrance, California. When I was growing up in Japan, in a city called Yokohama, my father used to tell me of his experience of how he observed in the year 1947, one summer, while he was fishing early in the morning at the Bay of Yokohama, and how he suddenly observed a huge green ball of fire streaking across the over the bay. In fact, he specifically stated that that greenish ball of fire moved as if it was controlled by some type of artificial mechanism. It wasn't a natural thing that he observed. He always used to tell us. And thus I grew up, and I was really curious. And again, however, during my high school years, I began in earnest to study this so-called UFO phenomenon. And so I have accumulated a total of about 30 years studying this so-called phenomenon. The word UFO is a very, very misleading terminology. It's a euphemism that can cause dissension, that can cause disagreements and antagonism. And I believe it wasn't a coincidence that this term was created during the late 60s to cause confusion. My parents knew a lot of friends in the United States of America, and in 1965 they told me that I should get my college education in the States. So anyway, in 1965 I came to the state of New Mexico, Albuquerque, where I majored in Southwestern culture. And of course, even while I was in Japan, I had a tremendous fascination for the Spanish language, and especially the Southwestern culture of the United States. So thus I got a degree in Spanish, and I went into teaching in high school. In fact, I taught high school Spanish in Albuquerque and Phoenix for several years. But at the same time, I still devoted a lot of my time in investigating the UFO phenomena. I had a lot of contacts with researchers over here in the United States, but suddenly, around 15 years ago, I have come to a total change of direction in my research, particularly after my conversion to Christ. After I became a Christian, my viewpoint on the UFO phenomena suddenly started changing. And particularly in the last 7 years, I have begun concentrating on the possibility of biblical prophecy tied in with this phenomena. I am convinced that this phenomena is somehow tied in to the manipulation process that the secret government of some sort have devised and have been manipulating and conditioning us for what is about to take place. I'm convinced about that from a biblical standpoint. And for the last 7 years, I have concentrated on the technological aspect of this phenomenon. Can our government on its own simulate certain type of events to create some type of panic? And the answer to me was yes, definitely possible. And thus I began researching on one of the most fascinating secret facilities known, namely Area 51 in Nevada. And I will show you that we are being conditioned for an upcoming event closely tied in with biblical prophecy. I would like to begin the slide presentation of Area 51 and the secrets behind this facility, which is also known as Dreamland. And I will show you that Dreamland is not just a nickname, it has a meaning. In fact, it's my contention that Dreamland is an acronym for Data Repository Establishment and Management Land. Let's see the slide. Area 51 is located in a vast desert stretch of land north of Las Vegas, Nevada. This location, known as Area 51, occupies only one portion of this vast stretch of area, hundreds of square miles, called Nevada Test Site. Among the military pilots at Nellis Air Force Base, which is located right next to Las Vegas, this particular area, Area 51, is known as the box, or the red square, or just the black box. And none of the military pilots from Nellis Air Force Base in Las Vegas are allowed to fly over this particular area, known as Area 51. This area, also known as R-4808N by commercial airline chart of pilots, comprises of the Groom Lake facility and also the alleged facility known as Sector 4, right alongside the Papoose Mountains, which is about 10 miles away from each other. This entire area is known as Area 51, or dreamland. Government maps do indicate that there is such an area, but yet the government itself denies to the public that there is such an area. Government maps clearly indicate the facility and part of the schematics of Groom Lake facility and Sector 4 area, clearly indicating the schematic, part of the schematic maps of the buildings at the Groom Lake complex. Again, Sector 4 or S4 area, south of the Groom Lake complex. Air Force maps also indicate that there is an Area 51, part of Nevada test site next to the Nellis Range and also the Nevada test site, and again Area 51, Groom Lake complexes. Yet if you call the Nellis Air Force Base in Las Vegas, they will deny that such an area exists. In 1968, several persons happened to find this facility while they were hiking on one of those hills that belong to the looming Groom Mountains. And they happened to stumble upon this strange facility built right next to a dry lake. And this is a 1968 photo showing some strange antennas and some hangars by the lake. You can almost see the, you can actually see the chain link area right here. This is a semi-dry lake. And in 1968, there were already many hangars around this facility in this on this lake. Now, frequency charts of Nellis Air Force Base definitely tell you that the facility exists. These are all the ranges of Nellis Air Force Base. For example, range 61, range 62, range 5, range 12, and so on. And also there are frequency charts for Groom Lake military operations area. This whole facility, of course, is a military operations area. Again, you see Dreamland right there. And again, the strange thing is that this is a conglomerate facility mainly conducted by Lockheed, but also other defense contractors. For example, Los Alamos National Laboratory of New Mexico is heavily involved in this program. Sandia Corporation, a huge defense corporation in Albuquerque, New Mexico, is very much involved in this facility. Also, EG&G Corporation. And surprisingly enough, there is an agency right there that is also involved. It's the FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency. These agencies are all involved in this secret program at Area 51. Again, Nellis Air Force Base charts, frequency charts, shows the frequency for Dreamland, which is associated with the stealth technology. Dreamland, stealth, Department of Energy, all under Nellis control. Again, Dreamland is an acronym for Data Repository Establishment and Management Land, which I will explain in a few more minutes. It's an amazing facility. U.S. Geological Survey maps also show these two lakes. However, on this particular map, I have drawn a straight line over Groom Lake to indicate a 50,000-foot runway, the world's longest runway. Again, as I mentioned, Groom Lake and S4, Sector 4 facility, the alleged facility, only is about 10 or 11 miles apart. These buildings right by the Papoose Lake are our estimation of these buildings. You cannot see these buildings from a satellite, so it's just our estimation. Now, in 1985, the state of Nevada passed the request from the federal government to close off a total of 90,000 acres of public land surrounding these facilities. And again, the reason for that being that in the 80s and 70s and 60s, a lot of hikers and hunters happened to find these facilities. They have seen some strange lights maneuvering over the skies, over Groom Lake. And again, so 1985, the government closed off all these Groom ranges and also the Papoose ranges and Jumble Hills area, so that nobody can see these facilities from the horizon. The closest place you can watch the ongoings is on Highway 375 and also nearby dirt roads, which still belong to the public land. This area, again, indicates the militarized zone, restricted area. Again, Area 51 is towards the southwest of this area. Now, this area is all part of the Bureau of Land Management, the public land. We have every right to be on any of the public lands. Yet, there are military sensors being planted on any of these public dirt roads that lead to Area 51. Of course, this is illegal. No question that they are hiding something. On top of Bald Mountain, on the Groom Mountain Range, there's a 360-degree view of the entire area, and from Bald Mountain, they're using some amazing high-tech equipment. They can detect any motion 30 miles away, 360 degrees. And of course, 15 miles away from this area, they can detect how many persons are there in the car, parked right next to the Highway 375 at any given moment. In 1968, Russian satellite photos succeeded in taking the picture of the Groom Lake facility from the air, indicating a long runway. Again, it's strange that the Russians, the Soviet Union in 1968 knew about this facility, while the American public wasn't aware of this facility. This is the negative enhancement of the facility taken by the Russian satellite in 1968, and at that time there were many, many buildings already in this facility, including many hangars. In 1983, another Russian satellite photo came out, and indicating the addition of runways and extensive roadways, new additional buildings, and many other things that were added. But again, because of the proliferation of satellite technology, the government has decided to move a lot of sensitive equipment underground on these hills, foothills of these mountain ranges. So everything is underground. You cannot take a picture of a Groom Lake facility unless you take a panoramic view, okay? There are 3,000 buildings in this facility, but yet the government says there are no such facilities in Nevada. There are 3,000 employees being flown to this area, and they have a 3 to 4 month shift. And yet the government says there's no Area 51. This is one of the best pictures of the facility, taken from a hill that the Air Force missed in 1985 when they took 90,000 acres of public land. They happened to miss 2 hills from where one can still see Groom Lake facility. Now, there is a big hangar, and this hangar is officially known as Hangar 18. There is amazing symbolism in all of these things at Area 51. There is a meaning. This is an official name, Hangar 18, as I will show you in the charts. Now, this is the closest photo of this facility going from north to left, north to south, okay? For example, a huge satellite dish pointing upwards to the sky, and then another satellite dish, many, many buildings, and I'm going south. Many hangars exist. and many underground. There's no question that there are underground facilities on all of these areas. Many, many dormitories for workers, engineers, and other scientists, highly compartmentalized. Many, many buildings, yet the government says this doesn't exist. Now, the reason is this is funded by what's known as the Super Deep Black Projects programs. You can see the control tower of the airport and a huge hangar, again, hangar 18. This is perhaps the closest photo of this facility ever taken, and unfortunately we cannot see this facility anymore because the government took 4,000 acres and finalized the withdrawal of this additional 4,000 acres just about a month ago. On March 31st, 1995, nobody can see the facility anymore. At nighttime, you can see you could have seen this big facility. It's almost like a city in itself. Yet the government says there's no such a facility. But we have successfully gotten some schematic maps of the buildings, each of the buildings, from some of the people associated inside the facility. And again, I thank God that we have even some friends, even in this facility, that occasionally give us some information. I believe that this is not a coincidence. Here's the schematic map of each of these buildings. There are theaters, tennis courts, restaurants, you name it, in this facility. There are at least 1,500 separate buildings, not counting the underground facilities. Now, this is the official maps of the chart of the buildings. You see the new number and the old number. The new number and the old number. The reason being is that the more buildings are being built as I speak right now. There are many different types of buildings. The operator's office trailer, DICOM's radar building, and also the location. It gives you the streets. There are street names for this facility. Many, many buildings. For example, let's look at the steam plant, Canal and 2nd Street. This is an official chart smuggled out. And this proves that this is not just a small facility. It's a huge facility in Nevada. Area 51. Look at the number of dormitories. There are many, many dormitories that accommodate workers, both classified and possibly other workers, but engineers, scientists. But the thing is that they are all working in a highly, highly compartmentalized jobs that they're given. So they have no idea of what the general picture is. Nobody knows except for the person that has devised this amazing facility. Hangar 8, Hangar 7, Hangar 12, and so on. You can clearly see the buildings right here. Building number 704, site radar, and so on. Generator buildings, and so on. All of these places are indicated. The mystery at Groom Lake. Last year, Sheila Widnell, the new Air Force Secretary, and Sheila Widnell was appointed, of course, by the Clinton administration, particularly Hillary Clinton. She was one of the officials appointed by Hillary Clinton, and she is the main persons behind this closure of 4,000 acres of public land surrounding Groom Lake. People have told the Newsweek of the night flights of a craft that, judging from its lights, has extraordinary maneuverability. From Newsweek. Again, a show was held in Las Vegas, and basically that was the land grab public hearing. The government knew that they could take this area very, very easily, but they had to have some type of a public hearing, and the public hearing was held in Las Vegas. More than 300 people attended this public hearing, including myself. Las Vegas Review-Journal said, speaker after speaker at a BLM hearing questions the plea for a buffer zone around Groom Lake site. In other words, have been creating a buffer zone to the buffer zone. Again, this was reported on CNN, and again, CNN happened to just take the picture of myself speaking, and rather than any other person, there were about 30 persons spoke against the seizure of public land. Now, some of the workers at Groom Lake facility are now coming out accusing the government that they were exposed to some dangerous toxic materials. And Las Vegas Review-Journal reporter tried to investigate, and he has, of course, found a lot of things that are not right over there. In fact, we believe that a criminal investigation must be launched. Now, U.S. News and World Report came out with this report saying that the Environmental Protection Agency and the Justice Department have launched a coordinated criminal investigation into alleged violation of federal environmental statutes at Area 51, the top secret Air Force base at Groom Lake, Nevada, which the federal government will not even acknowledge exists. The problem is that, in my opinion, the Environmental Protection Agency itself must be investigated. The Justice Department itself must be investigated. They shouldn't be the ones to investigate the criminal ongoings of Area 51. Did you know that our hard-earned tax dollars are being wasted in some of these black projects programs? And granted, some of the technology is definitely maybe legitimate for our national defense. Yet, we have found out that a lot of these technologies will be used against the citizenry, not against potential foreign countries, but against the citizen. This is what is happening right now. The land grab situation was completed on March 31st. It was signed by the state director of BLM in Nevada. The final article on Area 51 appeared on April 11th of 1995 in Las Vegas Review-Journal, stating that this is done, this is over with. No more peaking this facility. We're talking about America's new secret aircraft being test flown at Area 51, and they have been going on for the last 20, 30 years. And this is an artist's conception, what is known as Aurora spy plane. And these are other versions, possibly a version known as Black Manta or TR-3A, another new generation of amazing high-tech spy planes. Pumpkin seed program, a diamond-shaped craft that can go very, very fast. We're told that some of these can go at least 9 to 13 times the speed of sound. Jane's Defense Weekly, the world's most respected defense magazine, says that the estimate is anywhere from 8 Machs up, so that's a conservative estimate. 8 Machs means 8 times the speed of sound. Now, some of the other things that are being test flown over there, or that had been test flown during the 80s and early 90s, is this Black Manta. This can hover up to 100 miles from its target, collecting photographs and eavesdropping. Notice, eavesdropping. These are basically surveillance aircraft that are being readied for what I believe to be some type of controlled society coming upon us, the New World Order. This is one of the most amazing photos taken by the United States Meteorological Survey satellite around 1974 that shows an artificial object darting out from the clouds. This was taken over the sky between Kamchatka Peninsula of the Soviet Union and Alaska. And this was in 1975, or 73. Sikorsky has been coming up with this unmanned aerial craft. Basically, this is a surveillance equipment. low humming sound, can hover over housetops, and take amazing photographs and surveillance. Now, this is a low technology coming from Sikorsky. We're not talking about major aerospace, for example, Lockheed and so on. Imagine what Lockheed may have. This is the picture of some of our groups, the Civilian Intelligence Network at Highway 375, right near a curious black mailbox over there, which belonged to a rancher that lived near this area. Again, on the night of December of 1990, we had witnessed some amazing things coming towards the public area, the valley, public area on public land from the Groom Mountains. This picture is was an actual speck of light which was taken by our associate in 1990 on February the 20th. While he was standing right near that mailbox looking towards Groom Mountain Ranges, a distance of about, I would say, 11 to 12 miles, maybe 13 miles, and initially he just noticed a speck of orange light hovering above the hills. But upon going back home and developing this photo, he noticed that this wasn't just a speck of light. He magnified that photo, the film, and lo and behold, he began to see some type of a dome structure on this object. Definitely this wasn't a helicopter or a regular aircraft. We believe this to be a metallic, controlled, man-made object resembling a disc. It's clear that this is a disc. The reason of why these type of objects always seem to have a blurrish effect is because I think it's some kind of a force field is usually created around these objects that emanate light. Now, my brother-in-law took this photo of a bright object on December 1990 while 30-car caravan were observing the ongoings of Area 51 from a distance of about 15 miles. Looking over the Groom Lake mountains, and of course Groom Lake is beyond this mountain on the other side, but again, suddenly a bright object arose from above, right here, from beneath, right here, and the entire object had a tremendous glow. We were looking at an object that apparently was emitting its own light, incandescent light. And again, we're not talking about the regular aircraft. This is another picture of the same similar object. However, this time we approached about 5 miles closer. And again, you could see some type of a dome. Sometimes these objects come in front of the hills, as you can see in these pictures. Now, this is not a picture of the unidentified craft. This is the typical picture of what's known to be flares, military flares. Right next to Area 51 is a program going on called the Red Hat program, in which top military jets from Nellis Air Force Base practice the so-called exercises, air maneuvering exercise. But this has nothing to do with Area 51. It's right nearby, but not on or around Area 51. These are some of the pictures showing the movements of these craft. This was, of course, for example, the movements were so amazing, with amazing turns, almost like a zigzag motion, sudden descension and ascension. And this is what we're talking about, as it was reported in International Defense Review, which is Jane's Defense Weekly subsidiary publication, 1991 issue of March. They had an amazing article, if you can focus this. The United States Naval Research Laboratory is using connection machines to run its BEAST program, Battle Engagement Area, Simulator and Tracker, a real-time space battle management simulator funded by the SDI for the DARPA, Defense Advanced Projects Agency. This is basically the connection machine that will compute up to 7 times faster than a Cray computer for functionally equivalent optimized 3-dimensional code. And basically, in layman's terms, this is nothing else other than the launchable computer linking station that could be launched in the air to link the world's data network systems. And this is the reason for this acronym of DREAMland, Data Repository Establishment and Management Land. Again, we're talking about massive parallel computing system. This same article goes on to say that Lockheed Aeronautical Systems is also making this connection machine for computational fluid dynamics. This example of CEM research shows radar reflections from a large saucer-shaped object that are computed using the physical optics approximation. Again, this is the saucer-shaped object, and basically it's a launchable supercomputer linking station in the air. By the way, the government wants us to familiarize us with this image. This is the universal image of what has been known as a UFO. It's a brilliant manipulation effort by the government to sensitize us and make us believe in the existence of these so-called alien presence. And this is just a manipulative process. We must not be deceived. Now, we have been harassed many times by a strange military helicopter that approached us on many occasions while we were standing on public land, 20 miles away from the outer perimeters of the area, yet we have been harassed by a blackish, greenish military helicopter. In 1991, this helicopter approached us over our cars as we were driving out of the area. All seven cars in a caravan driving 50 miles per hour on dirt road trying to get out of this area. And yet for 18 straight minutes we were harassed by this helicopter that flew 5 to 10 feet above our cars. And we reported this incident to the Los Angeles Times, and they had a small article, and Los Angeles Times tried to contact Nellis Air Force Base for an explanation, and of course Nellis Air Force Base denied that there was such an area. And again, we were harassed by Lincoln County Sheriff Department, which takes orders from an anonymous security system that surrounds this entire area. We were questioned, our IDs were taken, our social security numbers taken, and so on. Aviation Week recently came out with this amazing new generation of helicopters. They are now incorporating some of the new stealth technology to these amazing helicopters that have amazing capabilities. Almost low humming sound, new type of rotors, and possibly new type of surveillance equipment. And it's my belief that some of the helicopters seen around this country is definitely linked to some of these operations. This is the Tonopah test range where the conventional stealth program was transferred to. Yet in Area 51, a new type of stealth technology has begun. This was a strange chart shown on television in 1988 in a 2-hour program called U.F.O. Cover-Up Live, a nationally syndicated program shown all across America in 1988 in October, in which the term Area 51 was mentioned for the first time. And this strange chart was flashed on the television screen, and it says Area 51, DARPA, which is the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, DIA, and Parapsychology Research Unit, all tied in with the Office of Naval Intelligence. There are many agencies in this country that most people haven't heard of. One of this has recently shown up in LA Times of 1992. Secret spy in the agency, a spy in the sky agency disclosed the existence of National Reconnaissance Office, longest and most closely held secret. Budget exceeds that of the CIA. And again, it says here, National Reconnaissance Office itself however, will remain almost entirely secret, the budget, of course. This office, jointly operated by the Air Force and the CIA for decades, was officially classified, and its name could not be uttered in public without violating government secrecy regulations. Even Mr. Clinton didn't know that they were building a great building in Maryland that was part of the NRO until last year. He was not aware. Los Angeles Times, for the first time a couple of years ago, mentioned S4 area of Groom Dry Lake, where there is an alleged flying saucer type aircraft being test flown by the Air Force attempt to duplicate flying saucer aerodynamics. Now, the spokesman at Nelson Air Force Base said the base at Groom Lake is so secret it has no telephone numbers he can make public. But the fact is that the facility is there. This is a map of Los Angeles, California, Edwards Air Force Base, China Lake Naval Weapons Center, the nation's largest naval research facility, right in the middle of a desert, and then linking Area 51 in Nevada. One of the secret spy planes, Aurora, allegedly flies over the Pacific Basin and comes towards Los Angeles area over the atmosphere, and from here to Area 51 in a straight line only takes 5 minutes, a distance of about 10-hour driving area from Los Angeles. Yet, this Aurora craft takes only 5 minutes from Los Angeles Basin to Area 51. And this is possibly a 10-year-old technology. This is Edwards Air Force Base north of Los Angeles, highly restricted area. Now, in Los Angeles, outside of Los Angeles, in California, there are secret aerospace facilities, underground facilities. Northrop facility, huge buildings, underground facilities, but there are many strange towers, parabolic antennas, huge cranes, but you don't see any aircraft of any type in this facility. By the way, this facility is located inside a private cattle ranch, and of course this is a camouflage. What's a government facility, related facility, doing in a private cattle ranch? Of course they have something to hide. This is the alleged runway, and this is an alleged elevator shaft of this facility, and you can see a high electronics truck parked over there. Notice the diamond-shaped configuration on this alleged landing strip. This is what we call a silo opening, and this is a picture of a triangular craft being placed on this pylon. The pylon itself is about 70 feet tall, a huge, heavy metallic structure upon which an unknown object is placed for radar absorption material. You can see the shadow in this picture of a triangular craft. This is a picture of a sliding underground door that opens up at night, and many commercial pilots had seen the alleged reddish object glowing inside. And again, I believe that parts are being assembled in these California secret facilities that are transported to locations like Area 51 to assemble many of these amazing spy planes and possibly even disc-shaped craft. This is an equivalent of a 4-story building that moves on tracks to cover the object being placed. This is located in a McDonnell Douglas facility, also next to a farm area, 50 miles from Edwards Air Force Base. A Lockheed huge underground facility with a brand new paved road. And again, this is a radio communication tower, so imagine the vastness of this underground facility of Lockheed, all connected possibly by underground tunnel systems with Edwards Air Force Base. This is one of the best pictures of the object that are being tested in California secret facilities. A diamond-shaped craft, a metallic craft, being placed on this pylon, 80 feet tall pylon. This is Lockheed facility, and again the object rotates on its axis, and they're testing the electromagnetic system and the radar evasibility and so on. Notice that in this picture, this diamond-shaped configuration on the runway opens up, and out comes from the underground this object. A great picture of this object at Lockheed's secret facility. I'd like to talk about the southwest of the United States. The southwest of the United States has always been the center, ever since around 1947, of strange ongoings, particularly in New Mexico, where in 1947 an alleged object crashed right near Roswell. Could this have been some type of a true event, or even possibly a staged event, as a beginning of some kind of a long manipulative process leading up to right now for some unknown purpose? It's very possible. In 1948, another object allegedly crashed in Aztec, New Mexico. This was in 1948. In Arizona, Kingman area, again around 1947 or 1948, an object allegedly crashed. Again, the southwest, ever since around 1947. And folks, 1947 is very interesting because it's 1 year before the State of Israel being formed in 1948. And in 1947, there was no CIA. CIA didn't exist until 1947. It was the successor to OSS. In 1947, the Air Force came into existence, Department of the Air Force. Again, this is not a coincidence. There is a symbolical meaning to all of this. Again, systems that connect Edwards Air Force Base to Nevada test site, Colorado Springs, the underground facilities, NORAD, COG program, as was reported by U.S. News World Report. The government has a program. Huge underground facilities are all over. This is not a figment of imagination. In 1950, we had some amazing tunneling machines using nuclear devices that could go 10 miles an hour, melting the hard tufa rocks and creating a lot of tunnels. That was 1950. There is a huge helicopter base outside of a small town called Marana between Tucson and Phoenix, Arizona, where even right now you can see about 95 to 100 black helicopters parked. It's a joint facility operated by Central Intelligence Agency and Evergreen Aviation, which is part of the subsidiary of CIA, semi-private organization. Albuquerque, the location of Sandia National Laboratories, Los Alamos National Laboratories, Dulce, New Mexico, Jicarilla Apache Indian Reservation areas. These areas were definitely used by the Los Alamos National Laboratory as possibly a part of a biotechnology experiment and also biological warfare program. Recently, there have been many cases of a strange virus coming out of this area, Four Corners area. New Mexico is a very strange location. Aztec, of course, is a symbol of the ancient Mexican serpent, flying serpent god. That's a symbol. Did they use that on purpose as some kind of a preparation or sensitization? There is a highway 666 been built in 1947 that connects Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, and Utah. Is this a coincidence? I believe that there's some type of a symbolic parallel development to condition us for certain events that is upcoming. Secret meetings are always held at Los Alamos National Laboratory, and in this instance, this is an announcement by the Navy, Navy's potential role in space. And it says right here, a technological breakthrough that vastly changed warfighting capabilities. An unexpected technology breakthrough that could have an acute impact on naval and other military forces. You see, the Navy is the one that has always controlled all types of information on UFO. It's not the Air Force, the Navy. And again, there is a symbolism. The Bible says that in John, Revelation, John says that I saw a beast arise from the sea. And is this a symbolic thing, or can we interpret literally also? Ever since 1943, there's no question that the United States Navy has been experimenting on radar technology, a series of radar technology. In order to cover up, they always have to have a cover story. The Philadelphia experiment may be a cover story for the real program that they could have been conducting. Cattle mutilation in the Southwest in the 80s, were they just coincidence? Now, LA Times says that in a recent article, artificial blood from cow is hemoglobin passes test, proving that cow's blood is very similar to human blood. After purification process, they could be interchanged in case of national emergencies. Tests of cow hemoglobin in humans okayed. Again, in the early 70s and 80s, tens of thousands of cattle were mutilated in the Southwest. And it's my belief that the government was conducting some type of a genetic biotechnology experiment, possibly linking the microchip implantation technology to certain tissues of animals. But in order to do that, they could have created a cover story linking cattle mutilation to the UFO phenomenon and creating a cover story of alien presence on purpose. Strange thing about New Mexico is that it's high on missing child list. Why New Mexico has so many more missing children than comparable states remains a mystery. This was in Albuquerque Journal of 1992, and it's a fact. By the way, did you know that scientists are now saying that the human brain contains a tiny portion of natural magnetite? And this was known by the military a long time ago, but Caltech proved it. Every human being born into this world, and by the way, God made all of us like this, we have natural magnetite particle in our human brain. This is how God made it. The Bible says we are wonderfully and fearfully created, but yet mankind can misuse what God has created. And again, this means that tiny magnetic particles in our brains could mean that we could be influenced by certain bombardment of electromagnetic beams or even radio frequencies. Our skull can act also as a speaker system. Again, this is a chart of the frequencies, how radio waves can affect our minds. You see that there are many, many strange towers being built all across the country in the name of cellular telephone relaying towers. But again, could they attach some of the emission devices, frequency emitting devices, under the guise of telephone system? And by the way, the cellular telephone system uses the very same frequency range as the human brainwave frequency, 800 to 900 megahertz. Did you know that every one of us has a different fingerprint? We are all different individuals. This is, of course, a miracle. The Bible says that God made us individuals. Every person in the world is different. We have different fingerprints. But again, at the same time, scientists have now come and said that, saying that every human individual has a different brain wave. But in general, it's between 800 and 900 megahertz, which coincides with the expanding cellular telephone system worldwide. Thank you very much. And now I would like to continue on with this presentation. And right now we'd like to look at some of this microchip technology. Recently on a Wall Street Journal, and let me go back to Wall Street Journal of Tuesday, February the 1st, 1994, there was an article that said that nervy scientists move toward union of living brain cells with microchips. Again, microchip technology is coming on our way for a controlling system. As I was talking before, in the past few years, the government has cleverly used the Indian reservation areas to conduct some of the biotechnology experiments and biological warfare programs. And in fact, just a few years ago, an Indian reservation in California, right next to Palm Springs, the Cabazon Indian Reservation, was the location of a series of dangerous experiments, biotechnology and germ warfare. And the journalists that try to expose this, Danny Casolaro, also try to expose the government's theft of a computer system that was developed by a private individual, the so-called PROMIS software program, and that program was illegally stolen by the government. And this journalist, Danny Casolaro, tried to expose this, both two aspects of this amazing things. And again, anybody who tries to expose too much could end up just like Danny Casolaro. He was killed a few years ago, and this is one of the famous incidents related to the Inslaw case. And I just want to mention this because this is all tied in with what's coming up, the technology, microchips, the biochips, that they can implant the chips inside our, possibly even our circulatory system. And the chips are getting smaller and smaller right now, and can be controlled by the scanning and monitoring system that they have developed. Now, recently, people have been complaining of dizziness and other physical symptoms in areas near Albuquerque, New Mexico, and Taos and Santa Fe. Scientists baffled by the strange hum that people have been experiencing in New Mexico. Could this be some type of an experimentation on extremely low frequency wave system? Again, an interesting thing is that off the California coast nowadays, people are also beginning to report. About a year ago, reports of low-level thumping sound began occurring off the central California coast. Dubbed the Pacific Heartbeat, large numbers of people began experiencing this enigmatic sound about the same time. And again, this was reported by CNN recently. Strange, low humming sound coming off of the ground and off the coast. Again, are these part of some type of experimentation, or are they getting us ready for something? The Air Force plans radio network for use during nuclear attack. Again, maybe you might have heard about this ground wave emergency network, a grid system being laid all across the United States to link the communication systems all over in case of a nuclear attack. But again, this could just be a cover story for some other programs that we know nothing about. The Gwen system. Look at the proliferation of cellular tower, relay towers all across the country. And it's no coincidence that these towers are not just relay towers for cellular frequencies, but because you can see that they don't have to have two cellular towers only about 500 feet apart, or even in cases, some cases 150 feet apart. Usually they are laid, let's say, in a few miles apart. Okay, but in California, even in schoolyards of public schools, they are building these towers, cellular towers. And of course, the school systems and you name it, they are glad to have the telephone company install these towers because they get a rental fee of like an income of $3,000 per month. So you see some of these towers being built on a schoolyard or sometimes next to a church. I have a picture of a church where next to the church there is this tower, strange tower, but all under the guise of cellular relay station or towers. But again, in future, they could possibly attach some devices on these cellular towers. For possibly crowd control or behavioral alteration emission devices. We have lots of information coming to back this up. You see that the telecommunication industry is highly linked with the Department of Defense, the military. It's a basic part of the military now, the telecommunication link. Again, the Gwen system, ground wave emergency network, being placed all across the country. Strangely enough, Al Gore In November 1982, he was part of the committee and other subcommittees of the United States House of Representatives. He was part of this project known as the Workbook for Participatory Democracy, Congressional Clearing